a biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
And our guest in conversation right now is Bruna Tawake. Many of us would have gone camping across Australia and loaded up the car or loaded up the trailer and taken half of our house's goods with us as we went out to spend a night or two out of the home, then come back and cleaned everything after our time away. We spend so much time in preparation for a night out of the home, but there are many in the world who can't even fathom of that kind of care for a night out of the home, many who don't have a home. And Bruna and her ministry look after many young children and babies who spend the night sleeping on the streets in some of the most dangerous nations in the world for children of that age. And we welcome right now to conversation Bruna Tawake. Thank you for coming and joining us on 2020.
Thanks so much for having me.
The motto of your organisation, it says, no child should spend the night alone. Can you share us a bit about where your ministry came from, where this incredible ministry started?
The ministry started from a heartbreaking need. A need in Cambodia in red light districts of, we call them little ones, babies and toddlers. That's who we are concentrating on, who are born in the red light districts of Cambodia. And they face the night in fear, in exploitation, facing horrors and experiencing horrors no child ever should. Asian Aid believes in championing the God-given potential of every child and has done so since 1966. So this new ministry we've taken on, which is only about a year and a half for us now, came out of this incredible need to help vulnerable children, one of the most invisible children in Cambodia.
And the work that you do there is this part of the ministry is called Night Care. The aid agency is Asian Aid, and it can be found at asianaid.org.au. And so when the children are coming into care for the night, how does it work on the average night for these extremely vulnerable children?
So night care is like daycare. It just happens at night when these children are at higher risk of abuse and exploitation. Their moms are trapped in the prostitution industry in Cambodia. So night care is made up of these centers. Like we think of daycares, they are night cares. Moms early evenings will bring their little ones, their babies and toddlers, to night care. They will sleep there safely under the care of trained nannies. They will receive a meal. For some of them, might be the most nutritious and sometimes the only meal they have a day. They have some mat time, like we think of mat time with our own little ones here, some stories and some songs. They'll say their grace before they eat their meal. They'll have a bath and get clean clothes. Their clothes will be washed overnight as they're sleeping. And most importantly, they'll have safety. When they wake up overnight, there'll be somebody there to care for them and love them. And in the morning, when moms finish work, they come and pick them up. So that's how night care works, is a network of centers that are strategically placed close by to red light districts in Cambodia.
And so for the children who are coming in, I mean, what would be the alternative if you guys weren't there?
Pretty grim. So I'd never thought, as somebody that's been involved in sort of charity work for a while, you never stop to think, what happens to the children of moms who are trapped in sex work? What happens at nighttime? They've got pretty terrible three alternatives. They either go with mom to work, and we've heard horror stories of children being hidden in cupboards or under beds or drugged so that they stay quiet. The second alternative is to be left alone. And when you're a toddler alone in the middle of the night, you're wandering off in the streets or around brothels, and nothing is safe in those situations. The third one is to be left with neighbors or family. But sex work, prostitution work has got such high social stigma attached to it that stigma extends outside of the moms and the women's to their children. So you can imagine it would be substandard care they receive. And we've heard many stories that even when moms put their little ones under this care, they ended up being abused and trafficked anyway. So without night care, that's what their night in, night out reality would be like.
And so when did this night care ministry start with Asian Aid?
For us, it only started about a year and a half ago. But
Wow.
we are partnering with another charity in the States called Saving Moses, and their work started about 3 years ago. And it's interesting, it's been quite interesting to see that whereas there are a number of services that help the mothers and the women who are trapped in this industry, there is little to no help available for their little ones. So as far as we can tell, this is probably one of the only ministries right now in Cambodia that's helping babies and toddlers stay safe at night.
And so, Bruna, just moments ago you mentioned that there are centres. How many centres are there, and what's the scope of the work with the young ones?
Currently, there is only 4 centres in Cambodia. A centre might have anywhere between 20 and 25 little ones and might employ 5 to 6 nannies. The scope is immense.
Yeah.
So, you could double these centres and still almost poke a stick at the issue. So, that's how prevalent the need is and how little, really, the ministry is helping in regards to the pressing need that exists there.
And so as you've been involved just for a year and a half as this ministry has kicked off and 3 years for your partner organisation, what's it been like trying to keep up with the need?
It's really both humbling to see the support around night care that even for this short period of time we've been involved in within Australia and New Zealand for our organisation, and to see people really being touched by it and wanting to support it. But at the same time, we are also humbling on one side because it's really a needing ministry, but on the other side also feeling quite pressed in the sense that the need is so high and we would love to be able to do a lot more than what we're doing.
And so it's obviously been a pretty quick growth to go from just starting with these guys to having 4 centres. Do you have a need for, or do you have, I should say, like a plan for more centres going forward, or would you keep the amount of centres and then bring more children in? Like, what's your thoughts about expanding the work there?
Both, I would say. We would love to have more centres, and we would like to expand the work that's happening in the existing centres.
Yeah.
When you think about a night care centre, the work is a little bit more complex than finding a building and renting that building and employing nannies. The work also involves training nannies in trauma care, because one of the key things that we would like to do over the time that these little ones are under our care is to be able to reframe the conversation, if you like. Wouldn't it be amazing if the little girls, babies and toddlers who come in their centers, get the kind of trauma care that reframes the conversation for them? When they look into the future, they don't think that the only job they can do is the job that moms are doing right now. So we would love to help faster, but we also want to be able to do this in the most sustainable way, that it has the most impact on the children that we're caring for.
Bruna, as you speak there, my heart just breaks because I'm reading between the lines with what you're saying about wanting to have trauma recovery for little children and babies. What are the kinds of traumas that they've been through?
Well, some of them potentially might have experienced even sexual trauma, in the sense that a client might have actually done more than be with their mom. Some of these kids, we hear stories of kids of this age, we're talking 0 to 6 year olds, where they're in a position where they're selling condoms on the side of the street in a red light districts. The stories are horrific. There's a part of me that wants to pause for a minute now and just say, it can be sometimes easy in the terrible horror that some of these kids live in to blame moms, but let's not, because their moms are also in a situation that is outside of their control. So the violence and the fear and the trauma that we're discussing discussing now around their children is experienced many times fold by their moms too. So the situation is so complex. The sex industry in Cambodia and in other countries around the world is so complex that in that horror, sometimes you feel a degree of, I'm inadequate to do anything about this. But I need to sort of like make the point to say, look, even if for this point in time, 4 centers, a number of kids in there, a number of nannies, that is making an incredible difference in the lives of these children and in the lives of their moms as well. So there is hope in the horror, if you know what I mean. And I think some of the stories that we hear as moms become more trusting of the night care program and they become more trusting of the nannies who now have become these stable presences in their children's lives, the stories we hear start to shift as well. These kids might never, before night care, might never be able to have gone to school. Wow. Because the mom has started to gain trust through a program like night care, and the children are getting ready to become more independent and ready for school. Over the next few years, we're hoping to see a higher percentage of these kids moving on to schooling and education. And in our context, a child going to school is what a child does, right? But in this context, schooling does a lot more than preparing you to become a contributing member of society. Schooling is keeping you away from the streets. It's keeping you away from child labor. It's keeping you away from trafficking or early marriage. Schooling is doing a lot more than getting you ready to become a contributing member of society. So there is, there are layers within these conversations that are important.
And in the doing more than just giving them the capacity to contribute to their society, am I right in assuming that it's really breaking the cycle? It's giving them the opportunity to forge a living for themselves that perhaps mum couldn't offer them? Absolutely.
It's about breaking the cycle, and it's about creating a worldview or helping a child create a worldview of opportunity, not just despair. Right now, their worldview is very much one of despair and survival. But the future, we would like to challenge that for the future, so that awesome. These kids can live out and reach their God-given potential.
Praise God, Bruna, for the work that you guys are doing over there. I noticed on your website that there is options there for people to donate, to partner with Asian Aid for the night care program. Can you tell us a little bit about the costings and the value for money that Asian Aid and night care are providing for these kids through the service and the programs that you've got there?
Yes, absolutely. Look, there's different options there for people depending on, what their circumstances are. But it takes about $55. It takes about $55 a month for a child to secure a place in night care. And from then on, it takes about $480 to keep a center open for a quarter, for 3 months.
Wow. It's an incredible return on investment there for the kingdom of God, Bruna. We just want to thank you so much for being with us today. And for those who would be considering perhaps partnering with you, what would be your encouragement to them right now?
By no means, please visit asianaid.org.au/nightcare to raise awareness for yourself first, not necessarily to just support. And please pray for these little ones in Cambodia and our program there.
Bruna, Tawake, we thank you so much for coming and sharing your heart with us today for these kids and sharing the story of the great work that you guys are doing there.
Thank you, Tosh.
Great pleasure to have you with us, Bruna. And if you want to, once again, you can visit asianaid.org.au and support the night care program that's happening there in Cambodia.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.